I don't know exactly where I need the kick to be yet, but I do know that I'm going to do some things to it without even hearing how it goes in the mix. And this is where experience comes in, okay? I know typically kick drums hate this frequency of 500 hertz. It just, for whatever reason, it's just kind of where the mid-range is, and we usually end up wanting to cut that out. So I'm going to make a predictive cut of about 3 decibels there and change the Q to be fairly wide. Okay, I'm going to leave the high-pass filter basically alone, except I think we can set it at 50 hertz because that's so low. But if this were a big production, I might leave it there because we have subs. But since we don't have subs, I think we can probably cut some of the low frequencies out. So we're going to do that. And now, as I'm doing this, this is where I'm actually going to go in and up the faders. So let's go ahead and hear some kick. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to show you an example of actually ringing this out. Okay, let's find a frequency that we don't like using what we know about Q. So we're going to make a narrow cut with the Q like this. Go ahead and keep kicking, Raj. I'm going to widen the Q. Okay, we don't hear much when we're sweeping up here, but what we do hear starts to come in right here, where it's pretty hot. So that to me sounds like kind of woody, muffy. So I'm going to cut there. And then I'm going to widen my cut a little bit. Maybe set it somewhere like that. Okay, now I'm going to add just a little bit more level. I'm not exactly sure if that's the level I want yet. We're going to wait till the rest of the band plays. Go ahead and go to the snare. First thing I'm going to do is cut out those low frequencies with the high-pass filter. Sounds a lot cleaner. Next thing I'm going to do is try to find that ring. Narrow Q. There it is. There's that guy. Make a cut there. Widen it out. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Tom 1. Same thing, high pass filter. Boosting to see where I want to cut. Maybe I'll find a second frequency I don't like. Okay, good, Raj, thanks. We're going to move on to Tom 2. Thanks, Raj. So I wanted to hear just this mic, so I hit the solo button. You guys catch that? So I just soloed out this, just the mono overhead. Now let's have you go ahead and play, Raj. So you heard that? I ended up using a high-pass filter because it really wanted to pick up those low frequencies, and that's what condenser mics do. They pick up a wide area of stuff, so I really need to go pretty heavy on my high-pass filter in order to get those frequencies out of there. Go ahead, Raj. Okay, so I found that right just before 100K, or sorry, 1K is where I wanted to be. So that's where I set my high-pass filter. Let's go ahead and let's see if we can wring out some of that other garbage in the overhead mic. Go ahead, Raj. Thanks, Raj. Sounds good, bud. All right, let's move on to the bass. Let's EQ that bass. So go ahead and stop. So I'm making a predictive low-pass filter sweep here because I know that those high frequencies aren't as important on the bass. Now, this is, again, debatable here. But for the most part, on a general mix, I want to make sure that I'm leaving as much high frequency room for the other instruments as possible. The bass is a bass instrument. That's where I want the frequencies coming from, the bass. We still want some articulation in there, so keep playing, Duff. Now listen, I'm going to bring it up and then bring it down. Now I'm going to dig around and maybe find one more frequency I don't like. Good. Okay, so I ended up making just a few minor adjustments on that. This is one thing to note is that what I'm doing here isn't creating art, right? I'm not moving stuff around to make it look cool or make a nice peak or a nice valley or like, I'm not creating art, right? I'm using my ears to shape sound. What it looks like, I don't care what it looks like. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to keys. Pretty straightforward, sounds good. Not going to mess with that too much. All right, let's move on to the guitar. You guys know the drill. Don't like that one. Good. Sounds good. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the ukulele. Okay. One quick tip I've learned about low frequencies is I like to cut them all the way out and then bring them to that point where we start to feel that warmth of the instrument. And everything below that I think we can get rid of. That warmth is kind of where we're at, what we want from the instrument. We may end up cutting a little bit more, but that's a good way to get to a good approximation of where you should be. So go ahead and keep playing there, bud. Use my low-pass filter to... And you can do the opposite. Go ahead and stop for a second. You can do the opposite on a low-pass filter, right? I'm just going to keep pulling it back until there's no high frequencies, and then I bring it to that point where I can hear some articulation. Let's try that again. It's a good spot. Now I'm leaving plenty of room for the cymbals and plenty of room for the vocals to have some high frequencies that cut above everything else, which is where I want to be. So let's go ahead and go on to Dave's vocals.
Yeah, 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 oh, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yo, 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 no, 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 no.
We got the vocals in a pretty good spot. Key Vox.
Check one, check two. Oh, check, check, 1, 2, check 1, 2.
That doesn't sound good, so we're gonna cut it.
Oh, check, check, 1, 2, 1, 2, check, check.
Search for another frequency we don't like.
Oh, check, check, check. 1, 2, check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, check, check, 1, 2, 1, 2, check, check, check. Oh.
Okay, good. All right, so that is going to be it. All right, so that brings us to our next section of this, which is let's go ahead and have the band play a song, or at least part of one. And I'm going to go through and just keep doing some more EQ stuff. Thank you, guys. That'll do for now. I'll start the next module.